Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura, and today I am doing my wrap-up for May. I can't believe it's over, but I read 11 books. 2 of them were graphic novels, and 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them were audiobooks. So I'm going to share with you what I read. So I'm going by my trusty journal, which is this one, and I finally updated it. Okay, so the first book that I read was The One and Only Ivan, and I gave it 5 stars. It's a middle grade book. I really enjoyed it. It's written in verse. It's about a monkey named Ivan, and he lives in a mall. And there are other animals within the book. I think there was an elephant and some other animals. But it was a really, really cute story, and I highly recommend you read it. It's great for middle grade or any age. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I read was the next volume of Chew. It's the Space Cakes. I'll put the picture here. I read this one. This one I gave a 3-star to. I didn't like it as much as the other ones that I usually read. This one was mainly about the twin sister Tony. But I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as the other ones. So 3 stars I gave it. The next book I read was Ferris, and I listened to this on audio, and this is the novella of the Chronicles, and I'll put the picture here. I gave this one 4 stars. It's about the Queen Lavanna. I really, really enjoyed this one. I think this one was my favorite. Cinder, I gave 3 stars to. Scarlet, I gave 4 stars to. Cress, I gave 3 stars to. And I'm back at 4 stars for Ferris, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was very good, and it kept my attention, and we get to learn how Winter was born, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, so I think it's my favorite so far out of the 4 books, so that's it. Okay, so the next book I read was a Nicholas Sparks book. I read A Nights in Rodande, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I also rented the movie, and the movie is not the same as the book. Yeah, but I did enjoy the movie as well, and again, it ripped my heart out. It's Nicholas Sparks always rips your heart out, so yeah. But it was a good book, and again, 4 stars. So the next book that I read was a graphic novel, and it was called Trashed, and I'll put the picture here. I gave it 4 stars. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. It's a non-fiction graphic novel, which means it's true story. It has a lot of stuff about trash, where our trash comes from, how much trash is destroyed, and all that. It was really, really amazing. I really enjoyed it. It was gross at some points. It was funny at some points. But I highly recommend you read it if you want to learn more about what the garbage men go through. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And now I look at garbage men so much differently now. So again, 4 stars. The next book I took out from audio. I had this on the library. And I read Troublemaker by Lee Remini. I don't know how to say her name, but I'll put the picture here. I enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. Leah was the one who narrated it, so it was really cool. It is a non-fiction book about her life, and she was a Scientologist. Scientology. That's her religion. And she was also on The King of Queens, so that's probably where you know her from. I was a big fan of King of Queens at the time when it was aired, and I really enjoyed it. And she sounded just like the one in the movie. She's from Brooklyn, and yeah, so I'm from New York, but yeah. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this one. She does curse a lot in here, and she does put Tom Cruise down in the book. But it was enjoyable. I gave it 4 stars. The next book was also an audiobook. I had the physical book out from the library, and I had the audiobook, and I was trying to go along with it. I gave this one 2 stars. I did not like it. It's Station 11. And I'll put the picture here. I really liked the beginning. It hooked me in the beginning, the first chapter, the first part of the book. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one. Yeah, really, really good. And then it twisted and turned, and it went into another dimension type thing. And it lost my attention totally. I felt like I was watching the TV show Lost. I was very lost. Yeah, so, and then I figured, okay, let me just, every time I got in the car, because I was listening to an audio, we were in a different part of the book and a different thing. So I thought maybe I'm listening to another book or whatever. And I thought maybe it would condense and like something as like, why is everybody giving it 5 stars? Keep going, keep going. You have to keep going. I said, okay, I'll keep listening to it. So I kept listening to it. I was lost throughout the whole entire book. Yeah, it did combine at the end, but it didn't. I couldn't connect with any of the characters. It was an awful book. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. Not my cup of tea. 2 stars. So, okay. The next book I got from Scribd, and this one was my freebie because they have credits, but they also have books that you have freebies that you could choose from. And this was my freebie choice, and I picked P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. Now, I read book 1, and I really, really loved it. So I was like, oh, this one's going to be good as well. I gave it 4 stars. I knocked it down a star because this book was more mature than the other book. The other book was really mature. I think my kids could read it. They're 11 years old. Book 2, I would not let my kids read. The whole book was about sex, having sex for the first time. It was not, I don't think it's appropriate for middle grade. It's really for mature content because there's mature content in there. And I would suggest 14 to 15-year-olds to read this book. But I did enjoy it myself. I enjoyed it. And I gave it 4 stars. So, yeah. And then I also heard that there's going to be a 3rd book to it. So that's pretty cool. But okay, so the next book I listened to on audio. I got this. I used my Scribd credit. And I got The Books of Elsewhere by The Shadows by Jacqueline West. I'll put the picture here. I gave this one 5 stars. It's a middle grade. It was really enjoyable. It's about a girl who her parents buy this mansion, and they live into the mansion, and it's kind of creepy, and little things happen to her, and the cats start to talk to her. I love when animals talk to you. It's so cute. But she sees this picture frame, and the picture frame comes alive, and it was really cool. So I really enjoyed it. I even had it I even had it on in the car while we were driving to my mother's house. My kids were listening to it. I really enjoyed it. There was no sexual content in it. There was no nothing inappropriate, no inappropriate words. It was a really cute story for middle grade, and I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. Okay, so the next book I finally finished. It was on my Kindle. It takes me a long time to read my Kindle books. I don't like reading on my Kindle. But I gave this one 4 stars. It's an author. The book is called Room 42. The author contacted me, Melody J. Bremen. She contacted me. She said, would you mind reading my book and giving me a review, an honest review? So I did finally finish it, and I really enjoyed it. It was about a boy named David, and he lives in a boarding school. And He is in there because he is a kleptomaniac and he used to steal everything. So he had to go to boarding school for the year, and if he was good, he would be able to go into a regular public school. So what happens is another boy who was bad, he joins the boarding school and he becomes friends with him, and they get into a lot of trouble. So it was enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. I will definitely let my son read it. Yeah, there was no inappropriate language or anything. Yeah, 4 stars. So the last book that I finished is an adult book. There was lots of 5 stars, and I was like, let me see what all the hype is about. Let me get it. I took it out from the library. The book that I'm talking about is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I'll put the picture here. I gave this one 2 stars. Okay. I only liked 1/3 of the book. It's told in 3 perspectives. The first perspective is the husband. And he tells the story about his wife who has this bad dream. And she decides that she's going to be a vegetarian. So she gets rid of all the meat in her house. And in Korea, where they live, it's not heard of to be a vegetarian. You have to eat meat and stuff like that to grow and to be healthy. So it was really intriguing, the first part. So that about 60 pages. I loved the book. So I would give the first 60 pages a 4 star. Then they changed the POV, and the POV was the brother-in-law, the second part. And this is where my interest, it just totally lost me, and I'm like, what the hell am I reading? You know? So the second point of view is the brother-in-law, and he is a psychotic person. It just got really weird. Lots of sex. I was like, what the heck am I reading? And I was like, I had to force myself to get through part 2. And then, so I would have gave part 2 maybe a 3 star. And then we got to the third point of view, which is the sister telling the story. And it turns out that she is the wife who was in the original story. She has mental illness, and she wounds up in a mental institution. And at the last part of the book, I was like, when is this book going to be over? Because I'm not enjoying it, whatever. I should have DNF'd it at the second point. But I wanted to see what everything was, why everybody's giving it 5 stars. I just had to read, and I had to find out for myself. Am I going to like it? Am I not going to like it? The first part of the book was great. So, yeah. So, I just did not like the third part of the book as well. And, yeah, it was a struggle just to read the last 15 pages or so. I was like, oh, I just want to DNF this. Come on, am I going to finish it? So, anyway, I gave it 2 stars. So, that's it for the month of May. I have lots of books that I still am reading for the month of May that I didn't finish. So, they will be counted for my June. So, anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye!